Thanks for staying with us here on TVC Breakfast. It's now time for us to look at what the papers are reporting. And I have first with me here is the Nation newspaper with the main headline, having it as attackers of communities are foreigners, says Governor. Riders read, armed men storm Benue villages in hundreds. Ribadu assures of intensified action. Above the nameplate, IMF cuts global growth forecast over Trump tariffs. Projection for Nigeria now 3%. Airlifting of 53,000 Nigerian pilgrims to Saudi begins May the 9th. Bakari's spineless rubber stamp tag misleading. That's according to Senate. And on the bottom strip, okay, before the bottom strip, we have Pope Francis' last moment by the Vatican. Trump, Macron, Starmer, all that world leaders for funeral Saturday. Body lies in state. Atoma, let me start off with you. We have potpourri of headlines on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Wondering which one really caught your attention?
Well, I wasn't here when when you guys thrashed the Pope's demise. So let me look at.
We didn't kill the Pope.
No, no, but you thrashed it on the table.
Oh, okay.
Pope Francis was a very radical pope. He changed a lot of things in the Catholic Church, and the one people will remember him for was bringing down the strictness that is around the marriage institution. Yeah. Because the Catholic Church believes that when you get married, there's no room for divorce. But he says, look, if you guys are not compatible, go ahead. And he did quite a number of other things that made him look more charismatic than most of the popes that had been the head of the Catholic Church over the years. So his exit definitely will attract world leaders because he's seen as a unifier, a man that has done a whole lot of things.
Veronica?
I will take the screaming headline, like you usually say. Attackers of communities are foreigners, says the governor. And according to the governor, these people are Malians. And they just infiltrate the community and carry out these attacks. But it is good to see that the NSA, the National Security Advisor, has gone to visit the governor and the state, where he made some statements saying that we can't have security personnel in all the states, although he's also calling for a withdrawal of security officers who are carrying out perhaps not official duties, but some private duties. He wants them to be withdrawn. I'm waiting to see that done at the end of the day, because people are dying and we need the security personnel in these areas to secure the people. So if these people are foreigners, it means we know our problem. How do we get them out of the country, out of the state? And perhaps we need to start having diplomatic conversations with the Malian government.
That's right.
Exactly. You know, we've spoken about our borders a lot. My problem now is that if they are foreigners, how do they keep entering? You know, how do they keep passing the borders? Where are the security enforcement at the borders?
That's a very
you know, that takes my mind back to one of the videos I saw on social media some years back, where people were just crossing into Nigeria in thousands. You know, they were crossing into Nigeria. This is the fallout of it.
Most definitely. You know. Let us move on to the Nigerian Tribune. NSA in Benue says attacks tragic. Evil reiterates federal government's commitment to ending insecurity, warns against politicizing attacks. Killings have devastated state economy. That's according to governor. Senate replies, Bakare, we are interested in result-driven engagement, not theatrics. I'm not in supremacy battle with any monarch. That's according to Alafi. Of course, you're already the Alafi. Ifon, Ilobu, Enriosho clashes. Monarchs hold peace meeting. 35 years after Iniam reminisces on Orca Group, says Nigeria still suffering from master-servant relationship. Gunmen attack Kwara communities, kill 6. So many we have here, Ria. I do not know which one you found, quite interesting or maybe disturbing or concerning for you on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune.
Mine is the killing in Benue. Because I saw the government, the governor has come out to cry that the attacks are becoming too much, and you know, at this point, it almost seems like it would reoccur. And this has always been our fear. We've spoken about it on this table. Like, we talk about it, and we wake up another morning, more people have died, more things have happened. What is really happening in Benue State? We were dealing with Plateau, and we were not even over Plateau. We're trying to get over Plateau, and the next thing, Benue came, you know, and these kind of attacks are happening. So far, I really want to know what is happening. What has the governor done so far? I know he has come out, he said, oh no, this should not happen, sympathizing with people, but what is really being done in Benue? We cannot keep seeing this happening.
Yeah, you've actually thrown up many questions, you know, right in the course of the minutes we started this conversation, and I know these are answers, the questions begging for answers, and so we hope we find answers to them as soon as they can. The Punch newspaper is next. Killings. IGP deploys special anti-bandit squads nationwide. Bandits strike again. Kill 18 in Kwara. Benue, northern governors talk tough. Nigeria's rebased inflation to hit 37% in 2026. That's according to IMF. 8 banks spend 4.61 trillion naira on salaries, operations, flight disruptions likely over NIMET workers' strike. Stray bullet kills 16-year-old at Lagos anti-cultism walk. And if you look at the story on the nameplate itself, emergency rule, Fubara may shift ground after Tinubu's UK meeting. Netoma.
Stray bullet kills a 16-year-old at the Lagos anti-cultism walk. Who fired the stray bullet? You know, when somebody's life is just snuffed out like that, it really gets emotional, you know. And it's as if we have a whole lot of trigger-happy people in the country, because they are dropping people everywhere. Look at the Kwara story, and we are having the same thing in Benue. We're having the same thing in Benue. It's just too much.
Trigger-happy policemen. Well, it's so sad. Let us move on to the next paper, Nigerian News Direct. Don't vent your political frustration on National Assembly. Senate tells Bakare defends role in rejecting Rivers emergency declaration. Says NAS or National Assembly won't discuss sub judice matters. IMF revises Nigeria's economic growth projections to 3% amid global uncertainty. Policy shift. Gani Adams slams federal government over Plateau, Benue killing, demands urgent security overhaul. Pastor Adeboye wife facilitates Exuth dialysis center as Oyebanji flags off operations. Lagos government spends 14.9 billion naira to ease transport burden in 6 years. That's according to commissioners. We have that's according to a commissioner, Veronica.
Well, I'm happy that Pastor Adeboye and his wife are facilitating the Exuth dialysis center, and that is something that is laudable. It's good to see a man of God, you know, step in where there are gaps in the system. We've been talking about having these kinds of centers across Nigeria because it's been quite expensive for those who need to use these facilities, and they travel around the country looking for where they can, you know, have this treatment as much as possible. So I'm happy that Pastor Adeboye and his wife, they had the resources and decided, you know what, we can do this to impact lives, not just beyond the church. And that is what I would like to encourage other pastors to do. You know, step in where you see there are gaps, because most Nigerians are saying, what is the role of the pastors? We pay tithe, we pay offering, what are you doing with our money and all of that? And we are seeing one thing being done now. Let's praise them, let's praise them. We need to give them, because this is, we see them criticize these people, but we are seeing that steps are being taken. So wherever we see these people do these kinds of things, we should give them the applause. And,
you know, just to add to what Veronica said, if you remember at some point we spoke about it on this table that the president also reduced dialysis for, you know, people that have kidney issues and all of that. I feel like as a pastor, you are taking tithes. It's right. The right thing for you to do is to give back. You know, as a pastor, you need to do something that people will say that, oh, this is what you've done to help the community, because you're not just sitting down preaching. What are you doing to impact lives? And also to speak about the transportation, I think the governor of Lagos State is really doing well when it comes to transportation. He's been able to reduce the fare for over 60 million people, and also the railway as well. So I think we need to give it to them, because in a headline, the commissioner was speaking about how they have spent so much money in transportation. And we can also see that in one way or the other, transportation fares have been reduced. So I think we need to give them the accolades on that one.
Right. Well, not everyone will agree with you.
Really?
Those are communities
on the fares, right?
Yes, on fares.
Oh, really?
On fares, yeah.
Yeah.
Not everyone.
Not everyone will agree with you, but everyone will also not agree with you concerning pastors taking tithe and all that and all that. What I have to say about that is that Christianity is a way of life, it's not a religion, you know, and things like this are what we expect Christian leaders to do, you know, just like Pastor John that has been changing lives. We expect to see more Christian leaders doing things like that because it is a way of life.
Exactly, and they take tithe as well.
Well, whatever they do with it,
like
what I say is, whatever they do with the tithe is between them and God.
But
it's not for us to start judging. Oh, what did they do?
The tithe that is taken, is it not for the betterment of the people? Quickly.
I'm not a pastor, so let them decide what they do. There's administration. Let me tell you, there is administration to these monies, and it depends on the church to know how they administer these monies that they receive.
But Veronica, if I'm
from
paying
the
tithe
people
in church and I'm in trouble, I expect the church to help me because I've been paying tithe.
If the church is aware that you are in trouble, they will help you. Why not?
That's what we want, actually.
Why not?
Right. So there had been ongoing conversation, you know, controversy over whether to take tithe or not to take tithe. But then we'll just leave that, you know, for people to continue that, you know, outside of this place. This Nigeria is next. You hit us too hard, Senate tells Bakare, says Pentecostal pastors charges unfair, unsubstantiated, burnout of personal frustrations and unfulfilled political aspirations. Isn't this too much? PDP appoints caretaker committees for Bayelsa, Edo. Finance experts fault regulatory agencies' weak oversight for 1.3 trillion naira CBEC scam. Pope Francis' funeral slated for Saturday. Vatican announces American as acting pontiff. 135 eligible cardinals lineup. Maybe we just want to talk about, you know, this forth and back between Bakare and not Bakare, Falana, the National Assembly, Rivers State. You know, there has been a lot of, you know, tearing them apart, saying even to the extent of Wike asking Falana how many cases they win before he became senior advocate of Nigeria, and then he also fought back. You know, it's been forth and back. Is it political or is it based on the interest of the people? So let me start.
Are we not looking at a situation where the actual campaigns have started for 2027? I think it has started, and what characterizes it in Nigeria is the back and forth from people that you would have called honorable, people that you would expect to have decorum and all that. I always say, if you want to keep your shirt clean, then don't play with a puppy.
Interesting.
With a pig, don't play with a pig.
Whichever.
So let's just quickly move on. I need to quickly adjust this. Right, the Guardian newspaper. Nigeria walks a tightrope as IMF sees higher inflation, lower oil prices. And then if you see the infographics of what the projections by the IMF in terms of GDP for 2025 will be, India carries the day, 6.2%. Wow. China, 4.0%. Nigeria, 3.0%. Donald Trump, that's US, 1.8%. Vladimir Putin of Russia, 1.5%. And then Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa, Republic of South Africa, 1.0%. That seems to be the least. Plateau, NBA advocates self-defense against attacks. Coalition urges National Assembly on bill to reserve seats for women in Parliament. Yeah, that's quite interesting development. The armed herders kill 11 in fresh Benue attack as Rivado defends federal government security efforts. Veronica.
I want to talk about IMF and this infographics here on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. India leading the pack of those who might face high inflation rates as the days come.
Plus the tariff that has been slammed by Donald Trump.
Yes. You see, whatever decisions you take, especially from the US, it affects everyone. And it is not just even because of that decision alone. We've been seeing that since 2020, after COVID, a lot of countries had been struggling. Some were able to recover, some haven't been able to recover. Sometimes, at some point, some countries, you know, were just living like there was nothing wrong, but so many things were going on. And then we begin to see that everything is now in the open and we can no longer pretend as it is. So what measures will we as a country, my concern is Nigeria, what measures will we be taking
especially with
to addressing these issues? We are already dealing with so much as a country, and so we need to start looking at measures on how to address these inflation rates, double digits, perhaps interest rate, or whatever it is, whatever measures we can put in place.
At least to make life better for everyone.
Yes, we need to do it so Nigerians can breathe.
Yeah, we need to breathe. Yeah. Blueprint newspaper is next. Hajj 2025, Nakhon State agree on May the 9th inaugural flight, end operations July the 2nd. Maxet airlift 15,203. Above the masthead, 7 killed in Kimanji, Elisha, Baruba attacks. Bandits informant nabbed. Vatican declares Saturday for Pope's burial. Italy in 5-day mourning. Adebayo to Atiku-led coalition. SDP won't be vehicle against Tinubu in 2027. Vows to recontest on party's platform. If I had the means, quickly, Ria, if you want to quickly react to any of this. But this is saying if I had the means, I would have made sure no Nigerian suffered. That's according to former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. But at least we suffered.
I was about to ask that because I wasn't in Nigeria when he was president. Did you all suffer or not?
It is impossible to have any administration where 1 or 2 people won't suffer. It's just not possible.
Right. Because of our time, Sporting Life is the last but not least. Man United summer transfers. Devils to trade Holland. Garnacho for Osimhen. Osimhen bangs 30th goal. Everton eye Moses Simon. Flying Eagles edge Young Pharaohs 2-1 in Cairo. And Van Dijk drops hints that Alexander Arnold would leave Liverpool. Well, because of our time, we may not be able to touch on any of these front pages. But then just grab a copy for yourself to do justice to them. We've done our own part. Thank you so much for being with us. Just stay with